Intermedia, yeah. As a company, it started in 2000. I actually started working while I was still in college myself. So while I was in college, I made a couple of documentaries for Granada. Thought this is the way forwards, you know. I was very lucky that my college was part of a thing called the GMET project, which is Granada Media and Education Project. So we actually got the chance to pitch to Granada for making programmes, and if we were successful, we had to follow it through the same way as anyone else does. Yeah. Which opened the whole world up to us, professionalism. And that's where it started from, and then a whole heap of us, maybe about 15 of us, out of the 2 years mixed together, all worked together ever since, really. Yeah. Well, I don't actually give myself a name as such, but I'm the like overseeing, controlling element. A lot of work is either one or two person work, of which I'm one of the two people, and as a result of that, not only is my company name on every piece of work, but my own personal name is on most pieces of work, especially when it comes to film and TV. You name and your phone number, as far as I'm concerned, that's all you've got. And the game is to get your name and your phone number in someone else's phone, preferably someone that counts. So I oversee everything. So even if say I'm working on a piece of work and another piece of work comes in, and then I subcontract all the other people to do it instead of me, I still watch over that work. I still make sure that if it's going to have that name on it at the end of the day, that it has to be as good as I would have made it in the first place. Yeah, well, 2013 is my 13th year. The first 2 years were a bit slow, and then after that it's just slowly increased since then. Paid or unpaid?
Both.
Okay, when I finished college I was in a very privileged position. There was a place in Liverpool called Media Station which doesn't exist anymore. And amongst the people who set Media Station up was a very famous English director called Alex Cox. He's made things like Repo Man and Sid and Nancy, did the screenwriting for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's generally a really nice guy, and I struck it off with him because basically we're both punks. And yeah, I liked his attitude and he liked my attitude, and he was very, very helpful. So for the first 2 years, maybe into the third year after finishing college, so that takes me from 2002 when I finished to 2005. I worked there every day for no money for the first year and a half, but I was turning out professional products. They were subcontracting me to go out and do work, in effect, and paying me nothing for it apart from my expenses. The last 4 have been the most challenging for me. So I'll come on to them last. One day I was working in an edit suite for Colin McEwen, and he came in and he said, "We're going to be having a film made in here, but Patrick, who's their editor, he's fully committed. So we need an assistant to come on this project and work on it. Are you up for it?" And I said, "Yeah." Of course I say yeah. Then I go and ask one of my friends what on earth you do as an assistant operator on a feature film, because, you know, I'd never done it. And I didn't know about all things like marked up script. You know, he said, look, first thing you've got to do, get the script supervisor's phone number, because you're going to have to know that person intimately. And you're going to ask for a marked up script. And I'm like, well, what's a marked up script? So then he went and found one and showed me how they work. I'd never seen one before. I had no idea how they worked, but like anything else, it's a process of learning. So I learned what to do, and I turned up on my first day and I asked for the script supervisor's phone number and asked for a marked up script, and that was about the limit of my knowledge. And then the first rushes came in because it was shot on real film, and I just got through that day. I went in the next day and I realised that the second day was exactly the same as the first day, and the third day was exactly the same as the first day, and actually there is only a sequence that you have to go through in any job, in any role on a feature film. And as long as you can do it, that's it. There'll be times when it goes sideways, then it's down to whether or not you're capable of dealing with what happens when it goes sideways. But other than that, there's a set of tasks that you go through every day, and that's what you do. So I did really well on that, and that was a film for ITV called Big Dippers, with Jimmy Nesbitt in and a couple of other people. And it really opened my eyes. I changed actually my style of shooting as a result of that as well, because I learned how to do it properly, in effect. Then I made another 5 or 6 feature films after that. And then I got an opportunity to go down to London. I got a phone call out of the blue from Ridley Scott Associates, and they wanted me to come on board for a film down there because the editor had recommended me. Well, it cost me most of what I earned down there to be down there. But when someone like Ridley Scott says, do you want to work for me? Actually, it wasn't Ridley, obviously, it's whoever he told to phone me. You don't say no if you want another opportunity. So I went down there. It cost me, like I say, I think I was clearing about £30 a week after I paid for all my accommodation and everything else. I remember, you can't tell them that you got no money. So I just carried on with it. But I managed to quadruple their workflow by noticing what they weren't doing and suggesting it. And that became a whole different role for me, because the next 3 films after that was my role, was the workflow, which is really peculiar for me as an editor, to be given a blank check to go and buy all the equipment and install it 2 weeks before everyone else turns up, and design the workflow and operate the workflow and all the servers and everything, including rebuilding the computers if they broke, because I could do that as well, and they sussed out that I could do that. It's been they've been great. They were all documentary films, these last 4 films. One's on the internet you can watch, called Life in a Day. It did its roll of the cinemas, and now it's just free online. Well, I think if you get a job, you're very lucky. I mean, there's virtually no jobs, as in paid salary, week in, week out, daily work type jobs at all, as far as I'm aware in the industry. Even during the time I've been working, you know, BBC programmes always had BBC production at the end of them, and now if you look at them, they almost never have a BBC production written at the end of them. It's always an insane production for BBC. It's always something like that, because it's actually someone else now who makes it. We're all freelancers, and even in the BBC, most people are freelancers. Channel 4, most people are freelancers. ITV, most people are freelancers. And I think that you have to accept that that's probably the way that you have to go forwards. I've known 1 or 2 people land a job. One of my friends has just landed a job at ITV, regular editing job, and he's made up for him. He's a family man, and he could do with the regular income. It's great, but it's dead rare. I mean, he's probably the only person I can think of off the top of my head that's actually doing that. The rest of us are all freelance. So I think freelance is the way forwards, and that's why I said that the name of the game is to get your phone number in someone else's mobile phone, because your name and that number, that's what you've got.
So do you think it's more of who you know than what you know in this industry?
It's totally who you know.
Who you know.
It's totally who you know. So that's why I think, and you say, coming back to your question of what advice would I give people, I did my 1.5 years of not being paid.
Yeah.
I carried boxes around when I could have been shooting on DVC Pro 900 to 700 to 650. You know, I did all of that time. I got the butties in. I remembered who had sugar in their brew and who didn't. Yeah. Those things surprisingly do actually get you noticed, and you just got to wait, because if you do the things that I'm saying, if you do that, you work for nothing, but you get known, people start to know you. Eventually, like what happened for me one day, I turned up to do the runner's job again on a film set, and the person who was doing the dolly was sick. He didn't turn in, and on set everyone's there, the money's being spent, and they're all panicking, and I just said, well, you know, I can do that, no problem. Yeah. And they kind of show us, well, Plus, I've been dragging them up and down the tracks in college all day long, and I know how to operate one. So as soon as they started seeing me do that, then they saw me as a dolly operator. You know, further down the line, one day I turn up at another set, and I knew from the night before, because the person who was operating the camera was actually a friend, and he told me he wasn't going to be there the next day because he had a higher paid job. But he hadn't told them because he knew that I could do it, and to not worry and just, you know, step up to the plate when it comes to it. So I did. And again, it's one of them situations, they're all panicking, but they're going to let me have a go, because what else are they going to do? They've got all the kit out and everything's there and all the actors are there, they've all got the makeup on, and this shot's supposed to happen now because they've got a schedule that they've got to shoot all these shots today. So they let me have a go. But again, of course, I know I can operate a camera, so as soon as I was operating, as soon as they see the shots coming into the can, that was it. Now they see me no longer as a runner, no longer as a dolly operator, although I can. They see me as a camera operator.